Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to see the fourth chapter from the Diary of Anne Frank. Before we read, let us know something about the author. Anne Frank, born on 12th June 1929 and died in the March 1945, was a German Jew. The 12-year-old Jewish girl wrote the diary of Anne Frank while in hiding with her family and four friends in Amsterdam during the Nazis' occupation of the Netherlands in World War II. After 2 years in hiding, the group the betrayed and transported to a concentration camp in Bergen, where Anne and her elder sister Margot died of typhus in 1945. Her father, Otto, the only survivor of the group, found her diary and got it published in English under the name The Diary of a Young Girl. Let us have a look at the story. Here it is written what I read, right? So Father Otto Frank, they were hiding in the rooms of his office building, and after 2 years in hiding, the group was betrayed and transported to a concentration camp system where Anne died of typhus. Her father Otto, the only survivor of the group, returned to Amsterdam after the war ended to find that her diary had been saved. Convinced that it was a unique record, he took action to have it published under the name The Diary of a Young Girl. The diary was given to Anne Frank for her birthday, 13th birthday, and chronicles the events of her life from 12th June 1942 until its final entry of 1st August 1944. It was eventually translated from original Dutch into many languages and became one of the world's most widely read books. There have also been several films, television, and theatrical productions, even an opera based on the diary. Described as the work of a mature and insightful mind, the diary provides an intimate examination of daily life under Nazi occupation, and Frank has become one of the most renowned and discussed of the Holocaust. So let us see the chapter. Writing in a diary is a really strange experience for someone like me. Not only because I have never written anything before, but also because it seems to me that later on neither I nor anyone else will be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old girl, the schoolgirl. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I feel like writing and I have an even greater need to get all kinds of things off my chest. So here the little girl, she is saying that she is a 13-year-old schoolgirl, and at the age of 13 she got her diary as a birthday present, and then she wanted to write. But she is thinking that it is a strange experience for her because she had never written anything before. Paper has more patience than people. I thought of this and used to believe that paper has more patience than people because so many things you can write on paper and it accepts it, right? So it has more patience. I thought of this saying on one of those days when I was feeling a little depressed and I was sitting at home with my chin in my hands, bored and listless, wondering whether to stay or go out. Listlessness without energy, no interest, no energy. So the girl is saying that this particular saying she used to believe the days when she was feeling a little depressed and was sitting bored at home, wondering whether to go out or not. She began to write. I finally stayed where I was, brooding. Yes, paper does have more patience, and since I am not planning to let anyone else read the stiff back notebook, grandly referred to as a diary, unless I should ever find a real friend, it probably won't make a bit of difference. without any reason. She was not having any work at home, feeling little depressed, sad, bored, and what to do, right? To go out or not, and then she started writing. She had actually no intention of showing her writing to anyone except a friend. But here she confesses that she was not having any friend, not a single close friend. So she was prompted that in the first place she has a diary and she will write a diary, and that was she didn't have a friend. Now I am back to the point that prompted me to keep a diary in the first place. I don't have a friend. Here she admits that she is not having any friend, and that is why she will keep a diary. Let me put it more clearly, since no one will believe that the 13-year-old girl is completely alone in the world, and I am not. I have loving parents and a 16-year-old sister. There are about 30 people I can call friends. So now she is talking about that she is not completely alone in the whole world, right? She is not having friends, but she is having her family. She is having her loving parents and a 16-year-old sister, and nearly 30 people she can call them friends. They were with them. I have a family, loving aunts, and a good home, and to have everything except my one true friend. All I think about when I'm with friends is having a good time. I can't bring myself to talk about anything but ordinary everyday things. We don't seem to be able to get any closer. That's the problem. Maybe it's slight fault that we don't confide each other. In any case, that's just how things are. Unfortunately, they are not able to change. This is why I have started a diary. Actually, the girl is thinking that she is not having any close friend in whom she could confide. She can tell the things to her. Right? Sometimes we share our problems and our things with our friends, but here and she is saying that she was not having any close friend, and that is why she is considering the diary as her close friend. And for that reason only, she started the diary. To enhance the image of this long awaited friend in my imagination, I don't want to jot down the facts in the diary the way most people would do, but I want the diary to be my friend, and I'm going to call this friend Kitty. So here Anne wanted diary to be her friend, and she gave it the name Kitty, right? And she's saying that she is having all family members, even 30 people she could call friends, but no one was her true friend, right? So that is why now she's considering the diary as the true friend, and she has given the name Kitty. Since no one would understand a word of my stories to Kitty if I were a plunge right in, I'd better provide a brief sketch of my life, much as I dislike doing so. So Anne is saying that she is going to write in the diary, but no one will be able to understand a single word what she has written the stories in her diary. And when she jumped into the writing work, she said that let me give the brief sketch of her life before writing the things. And that is why she said that she dislikes to give the brief story of her life, but then she said that if nobody is going to understand, better she could give a brief sketch of her life. My father, the most adorable father I have ever seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. My sister Margot was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926, and I was born on 12th June 1929. So here Anne wrote about her family members. She said that her father was adorable, and he married when he was 36 to her mother when mother was 25. And her sister Margot, she was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926, and Anne was born on 12th June 1929. I lived in Frankfurt until I was 4, My father immigrated to Holland in 1933. My mother, Edith Hollander Frank, went with him to Holland in September, while Margot and I were sent to Aachen to stay with our grandmother. Margaret went to Holland in December, and I followed in February when I was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margaret. So here she is saying that she lived in Frankfurt and she was 4 then her family emigrated to Holland in 1933. First, the parents went, and the two girls lived with their grandmother at Aachen, and then they joined their parents. When they went there, she is saying that first Margaret was sent, and then when she went in February, she was like put down in a casual way on the table there, as if the parents are giving a birthday present for Margaret. I started right away at the Montessori Nursery School. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started in the first form. In the sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Kypris and the headmistress, and at the end of the year, we were both in tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell. So now the writer is saying about her schooling. She started with a Montessori nursery school and she was living there until she was 6 years old, and then she had a very strong attachment with her headmistress. At the time of her farewell, she is saying that they both were in tears and it was a very emotional and heartbreaking moments for her. In the summer of 1941, Grandma fell ill and had to have an operation, so my birthday passed with little celebration. So as there was a sickness in the family, grandmother was sick, and because of that reason her birthday in that particular year was quite small celebration, a little celebration, or we can say that like no celebration because of the illness. Grandma died in January 1942. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. So, being a grandmother, and she was loving her grandmother. And she's remembering the days when she's saying that each and every moment she used to think of her and still she loved. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and Grandma's candle was along with the rest. So, here on the birthday celebration, it was not only a little celebration but also an extra candle was lit for grandmother with other candles to pay the tribute. The four of us are still doing well, and that brings me to the present date of 20th June 1942 and the solemn dedication of my diary. So here the writer is dedicating her diary till now in her diary entry till of 20th June 1942. She said that all the four of the family members were doing well and they were all quite good, and she is also in her diary entry dated 20th June 1942, that was a Saturday, and she wrote that her entire class was trembling. Let us see why the entire class was trembling. See the date here. It is Saturday, 20th June 1942, and she has entered the diary entry by writing, "Dearest Kitty, our entire class is quaking in its boot." So, quaking in its boots is shaking with fear. Entire is a complete class, and they all were quacking in its boot. The reason, of course, is the forthcoming meeting in which the teachers decide who will move up to the next form is the class, and who will be kept back. And because of this reason, the whole class was trembling with fear, because they were not knowing who is going to go in the next class and who is going to stay back. Half the class is making bets. Jean and I laugh ourselves silly at the two boys behind us, Cien and Jacques. So here the writer is saying that whole class was trembling with fear because they were not knowing who is going to go for the next class, and whole class was like making bet, like who will go and who will not, that kind of reason. And that is why the girls, they were laughing to the two boys behind, sitting behind them. It was Cn and Jax, who have stacked their entire holiday savings on their bet. Stacked means risked. So both the boys were betting with each other, and they stacked their entire savings in this bet. From morning to night, it's you are going to pass, no, I am not, yes, you are, no, I am not, was going on in the class. Even G's pleading glances and my angry outbursts can't calm them down. If you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of class should be kept back. But teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on the earth. Here, the writer means that teachers, we can't predict a teacher, right? No one knows what is the result. So called teachers because no one knows what result will be given by them to different students, and that is why it was unpredictable. And everybody was expecting even the girlfriends who passed the exams would be promoted to the next class. I'm not so worried about my girlfriends and myself. We will make it because girls, they study, right? And here Anne was damn sure that all the girls, they are going to pass, even including herself. All we can do is wait. Until then, we keep telling each other not to lose heart. So they were trying to encourage each other by saying, don't lose heart. Even girls, they are going to pass out. So for them, for the girls, it was quite easy. I get along pretty well with my teachers. There are 9 of them, 7 men and 2 women. Mr. Kissing, the old fogey who teaches maths, was annoyed with me for ages because I talked so much. After several warnings, he assigned me extra homework. So here old foggy is old-fashioned person, Mr. Kissing, who was teaching maths. And here total 9 teachers were there. Out of them 7 were males and 2 were females. And that Mr. Kissing, he was teaching maths. And he was very much annoyed with the writer because she was a talkative girl. He assigned the writer an extra homework, an essay on the subject, a chatterbox. So, a chatterbox, what can you write about that? A person who is talking more, right, is called a chatterbox because continuously keeps on speaking, and that is why they were called chatterbox. So here writer was also a chatterbox, and that is why the maths teacher, Mr. Kissing, who belonged to the old school of thought, he caught Anne talking and several warnings gave, and even he tried to give the punishment by writing an essay, a chatterbox. And that is why she was wondering that who can write on that. I worried about that later, I decided. I jotted down the title in my notebook, tucked in my bag, and tried to keep quiet. Now she was sitting quietly because she was punished. That evening, after I finished the rest of my work, the note about the essay caught my eye. I began thinking about the subject while chewing the tip of my fountain pen. Anyone could ramble on, leave big spaces between the words, but trick was to come up with convincing arguments to prove the necessity of talking. Here, anything you can write aimlessly, talking or writing, ramble is. Here she was thinking that she will write an essay without aim. No particular point she is going to write there, just she will write a long essay because she just wanted to complete her work. Anyhow, she wanted to complete her work. I thought, and suddenly I had an idea. I wrote 3 pages Mr. Kissing had assigned me and was satisfied. So, first of all, she was thinking she will just write a very long essay and she will just write aimlessly. But then she saw the topic and she started thinking on it, and then she started writing and she wrote and wrote and wrote. I argued that talking is a student's trait is a character, and that I would do my best to keep it under control, right? She was knowing that she is a talking a lot girl, a talkative girl, chatterbox. She felt quite exhausted, right? But then she decided to keep quiet. But she wrote in her essay that talking is the trait of a student. Trait is a quality, right? Talking is a trait of a student. Students are sitting in one class, so they always talk to each other. But then I would never be able to cure myself of the habit, since my mother talked as much as I did, if not more. Then there is not much you can do about inherited traits. She's thinking that I cannot control my talkative nature. Why? Because she inherited it from her mother. Mother was talkative by nature, and so Anne. And that is why she was thinking that how she can control herself. Mr. Kissing had a good laugh at my arguments, but when I proceeded to talk my way through the next lesson, he assigned me a second essay. Once more she was punished. Again she started talking to her friends, and Mr. Kissing caught her, and one more essay she was going to write. This time it was supposed to be an incorrigible chatterbox. Incorrigible is something that cannot be corrected, usually a bad quality. We can't change. That is incorrigible, and that to a chatterbox. I handed it Mr. Kissing and nothing to complain about for 2 whole lessons. However, during the third lesson, finally had enough. And Frank, as punishment for talking in class, write an essay entitled Quack Quack Quack, said Mistress Chatterbox. Third time she was given the punishment. First 2 times she wrote, but she never improved. She was writing the essay, but she was not stopping to talk with the friends. And that is why now one more punishment she got. And that too with the title Quack Quack. Right? Quack, quack, quack. And said Mistress Chatterbox. The class roared. Everybody started laughing because of the title. Right? The class roared is burst in laughter. And though I had nearly exhausted my ingenuity, exhausted means tired, originally and inventiveness, because 3 times she wrote the same topic. And now she said that I've lost. How can I write once more the same essay? And it was time to come up with something else, something original. And my friend Sen. Now she was wondering, how could I write the same essay again and again on the same topic, chatterboxes? And then her friend Sen, she offered to help her to write the essay for her, and she was good at poetry, and she offered to help her writing the essay from beginning to end in the verse, and she jumped for joy. Mr. Kissing was trying to play a joke on me, right? Teacher was giving the same topic again and again, and that is why she thought that he is trying to play a joke on her by giving her to write an essay on such a ridiculous subject. But now she is thinking the joke was on him, right? Because the poem she has made, the poem was about a father swan beating his 3 baby ducklings to death because they quacked too much. I finished my poem. It was beautiful. It was about a mother duck and a father swan with 3 baby ducklings who were beaten to death by father because they quacked too much. Luckily, Mr. Kissing took the joke the right way. He read the poem in the class, adding his own comments and to several other classes as well. As since then I have been allowed to talk and haven't been assigned any extra homework. On the contrary, Mr. Kissing always making jokes these days. Yours, Anne. So here, after writing the poem, Anne was thinking that Mr. Kissing would take it seriously, and he would like punish her more and more. But instead of that, Mr. Kissing took the joke lightly, and then he was going to the various other classes, and he was reading the poem to the class, and he used to give his comments on the poem, and from then on Anne was allowed to talk without any extra homework. This was extracted from the Diary of a Young Girl with a slight adaptation. I have finished the chapter here. I hope you have understood. Once again, read the lesson and try to understand it. Thank you.